Well, hello folks, and welcome back. So in this video I'm going to sort of show you what it takes to install a new tub. This home is 1992, so the original tub was in here, so it's 28 years old. Now I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit here, in showing you this. The old tub has been long gone out of here. And this tub, this is the new tub that I've just got sitting in here to do a mock-up with. But the old tub, was your typical enameled steel tub. I think most of you know what those old tubs looked like. When they're that old, they are starting to show their age by, the enamel is starting to wear off of it. Often they will have chips in it, and they're usually, quite low. They're kind of not, very shallow. So it's not a nice tub to sit in and, have a good soak. So we like to update. So, this is a fiberglass tub. So the fiberglass tub, is not as cold and noisy as those old steel tubs are. And this is a deep tub, so you can see, it's a nice tub to sit in and have a nice soak. In these mobile homes, the way they come from the factory, they usually had just like a plastic surround around the tub. You can see here where we've peeled that all off. And so underneath we have the original gypsum, what's called gypsum, which is a gypsum drywall product. You can kind of see it on the edge here, what it looks like. So it's that thin 3/8 drywall with the vinyl covering on it that most of these mobile homes have, that were built in the 90s and coming forward. So another thing about those old steel tubs is that are older, they're usually a really awful color. They're usually well, I've seen them green, I've seen them gold, I've seen them brown. This one that was in here was a bone colored one. So we're replacing it with this Max, and I'm going to be pulling this out and kind of showing you what we have to do to underneath to make this all work. But basically the gist of this is you want to get the tub sitting in here level. And since we leveled our floor, way back at the beginning of this renovation, our floors are pretty level. So this is pretty easy here now to install this tub. So this tub is one that we use over and over again, and this tub is a Max brand. I don't know if that's going to focus there or not, but it's a Max brand, and we buy it here in Canada from Home Depot. And you can get these tubs on sale for just around $300 Canadian. So it's a really inexpensive tub that it's a nice tub. So the way those old tubs are installed from the factory is they put the gypsum on, and then they slide the tub in, and then they usually have all kinds of weird moldings around the tub to make it attached to the walls. In a normal house, you wouldn't have those. So in a normal house, you have this flange, and this flange is used to attach to the studs. So usually the opening for the tub, the studs would come up to here instead of like this drywall here. So when you do a retrofit like this, if you were to remove this material, you're going to have a really big space that you have to deal with here. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do is we want to leave this alone. Just leave this gypsum on here as long as it's not moldy and stuff. Just leave it on, and we're going to go over top of it. So this tub surround is going to have tile installed in it. We're going to put ceramic tile in here. So we are going to be putting a tile backer. And there's a couple things you have to think about now when you do this. So the material that we're going to use is, we like to use this material here. So this is called Den Shield. And so what Den Shield is a it's a gypsum based product, and it's a fiberglass. So it has a fiberglass wrap on it. It goes right around it. And so we install this, and then we install the tile on top of that. So the way this is going to go on here is, once we get this screwed in here, and I'll show you this as we go along here. Basically, though, what's going to happen though is this is kind of how this is going to end up. So that is going to sit, this Den Shield is going to sit up on the flange like that. And then when we get around to doing the tile is going to come down. It's going to get attached to this Den Shield, and it will go over, and it's going to sit on the lip of the tub. Okay, so now I'm going to show you something here. This is where you have to think ahead. So if you can kind of see how close the front of that is to that edge. So what I'm talking about is how close this is to here. You can see that if you don't take into consideration here, when you put the tile on, the tile is going to stick out past this little edge here. Now that's just kind of specific to this particular tub. And you know, on the ends we don't have that problem, but along the back side here we do. So if we don't think about this and do something about it, we're going to have our tile is actually going to hang over. We don't want that. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to shim the tub behind this flange here. And so basically what we're going to do with that is we're going to slip a piece of 3/8 plywood in there, and that's going to push the tub away from the wall, so that when we put that Den Shield tile backer on, it'll be just right, so that when the tile comes on here, it's going to sit on this edge and it won't be hanging over. So you want to make sure that your tub is sitting level. So we want, you know, the back side and this side all to be level. We want that a nice level line around. And so I've gone ahead here and I've leveled it, and you can see where I have that black line. I've scribed the black line there. So that's the line that I have to work to. Now in order to get that level side to side, I had to install a little bit of a shim here. So you can see I have a little quarter inch shim right here that is just shimming this up a little bit to make this level this way. If you don't get your tub level, there's a couple things that will happen. When you go to put your tiles on, your tiles are going to be all wonky. So you want to have a nice level place for those tiles to come down to, so that it's, you know, you have a nice straight line all the way around with your grout lines. The other thing is that you want the tub to be level, because the tub has been molded so that it slopes like into the tub. On all of these corners, they slope in, and you want so that there's water. If you get water up on here, it's going to run down into the tub. If you have this not level, like this for example, your water's going to run out and it's going to run down the front of the tub. And you probably all have seen that, where that happens, where you have a shower in a tub and it's running all over the floor. It's because that tub probably is not level. A level tub here will also help the tub to drain properly, because you know, the bottom of the tub is sloped towards the drain. So, you know, if the main tub itself is level, your water is going to drain, because it's, you know, the slope has been built into it. All right, so I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to sort of prep, you know, so I'll show you how, you know, how we have to attach this. Basically, I have to put a little ledger strip along the back there for that sit on. You know, I have to do that shim out, and then I'll be drilling through and screwing it actually to the studs. So yeah, stay tuned, and I'll show you how what I do to do that. Okay, so I've rolled that tub out of the alcove there, and this is what it is. It's just sitting on its front side there, and so this is what it looks like underneath. So like I said, this is a fiberglass tub. And so you can see how they've made this and how it's reinforced. And it's actually going to sit on these wood blocks here on the floor. And here's the opening with the tub out. And so now you can see where, where my black line is there. So now I have to get, all my supports and stuff into that line. This is where the old taps were. This had the old-fashioned, the old-fashioned two taps. This one had no mixer valve on it. There was no scald protection on this. It didn't have it wasn't a pressure balancing tap, which means when if you flush the toilet or something and you're having a shower, and all of a sudden you can get a shot of hot water, like really hot water. That's prevented with a pressure balancing valve, and I'll show you that in a bit. But here you can see this is where the old tub spout came out, so you can see how much lower. This is where that old tub, the level of the old tub was, way down here. So just a really skinny, shallow little tub. So we're coming way up here. We're going to make this quite a bit nicer. So we're going to be putting in a mixer valve here now. That is, a single handle, and it's going to have scald protection on it. It's going to be a pressure balancing one. And our tub spout's going to get moved up. So that just kind of shows you what we have there. Now this is the old drain for the old tub, and so we're going to be reworking this a little bit now to work with the new tub. One of our viewers, when I showed the video, our last video, about the washer service, how we went from a 2-inch to a 1.5 inch. Well, he was kind of wondering about that. So the reason for that is that all your modern plumbing fixtures, like your tubs and showers and washer services and things like that, are all 2-inch. If this was a new home, the code would say that this has to be a 2-inch drain. But being this home the way it is, this is a 1.5 inch. So we have to adapt the plumbing to to 1.5 inch. So there'll be some reducers in there. Now you can see how these guys did this at the factory. They just smashed that duct down. Kind of crude. And this tub has been leaking. You can see the stains on top of the metal there. Now these are the hot and cold lines to the to the taps, and this is the old poly B. And that's going to be coming out of there, and we're going to be putting in some new PEX. Okay, folks, that's it for this little shot, and stick around. I'll show you what we're going to do here next. Okay, so now here you can see where I've installed this ledger thing, and so this. Here's this black line where that's going to be the top of the flange of the bathtub. And this is the 3/8 inch plywood here that I've installed to pull that thing away. So we're going to have our tile properly on the edge. It's not going to hang over into the tub. And now this is what the that edge of the tub is actually going to hang on. And so this will support the tub on the back side, the long side here. So what I've also done here is underneath I put these little blocks on each stud. So I have glued all this together with construction adhesive. I use a PL400 product. And so this board right here is going to sit right underneath this flange here. Okay, so that board's going to sit right in here. It's going to hold up the tub, and then that 3/8 plywood is going to be up against this part here. All right, so I'm ready to put the tub back in here. I've got support for it now, and I need to prepare now for the plumbing, because once the tub's in here, it gets a lot harder to do. So I've gone ahead and marked the center line of the taps and everything that's going to be going up here. So you can see that black line there with the C. That C is for center, and that's pretty much lined up with the center where the old one was. when you do this, you want to have everything centered up so it looks proper. Now, I need to get these new supply lines in so that when I take these old ones out, it's going to be all ready. So when I change these lines, I don't like to go underneath. I hate going underneath these things. And so I try to do everything from the front, from the top. And so what I have figured out here is that right here, in this location here, so running parallel, there's the hot and cold main hot and cold lines are going right in this area underneath the floor, and those are going all the way, you know, to the back of the home, back to that laundry area that I showed you before. That's just a straight line right back to the back there. So what I'm going to do is, rather than try and you know, work to connect everything up over there, you know, in that tight spot, you can see it's tight with the toilet and whatnot there, and with the tub, it's going to get really tight. I'm going to rough up these water lines to come to this point over here. And I'll just slide them underneath the floor, and they're going to be sitting right here waiting for me to connect. And what I will be doing here is I'm going to be cutting a hole in the floor here, and then I will be able to get in there and access to make my connections for those lines. So ultimately here, this is basically, because this is the front of the home, this is the end of the line here. I'm also going to be doing the same thing with the toilet. I'm going to get a new toilet run in here. So again, I'll be running a pipe over to this area here. So I'll make all my connections right here. And then I'm going to be going over to that sink. You can see the sink back in the corner there where the sink was. I need to get my new water lines back to there. So when I have this open here, I'll be getting from all three fixtures. The sink, the bathtub, and the toilet are all going to come to here, hook into these main lines, and then go to the back. Now, something I've added was a hose bib. I'll show you that up here. So I wanted to put an extra hose bib, you know, for the front. And so there, I've got that roughed in, and that's the hose bib right there. So I'm going to have to get cold water to that hose bib. So I'll be going down into the floor there, and then I'll be going just across right over to here under the floor, and connecting again over to kind of the end of the run here. It might sound complicated, but it's actually really easy. It's really easy if you do it from the top like this. All right, so now I'm going to show you. We have to prepare the taps. So I'll show you that next. All right, so this is the way we buy these the taps. Is, you know, in these boxes like this, and you know, I just got these at, I can't remember, I think I got them at a store called Home Hardware here in Canada. And so this is a tub set. So we have everything in here for the tub. So that includes the tap. So this is going to match the one that I showed you back in the shower there. It also comes with the tub spout, and it also comes with the shower arm and shower head. So I'll just kind of do a little unboxing for you here. So this is that plate, and then this is also the escutcheon for the shower arm. This is just a little box of hardware for the anti-scald. And so, you know, we take the valve out of the box here. Oh, hard to do this with one hand. So this is the tub spout, and I will probably be changing this tub spout. This is a short one, and it's kind of nicer if you go with the longer one. So I'll probably not use this one. And then this is the shower arm. And then this is the valve itself in here. This is the shower head. Okay, and this is the part we're looking for right here. So this is what's called the mixer valve. So you can see how this comes here. You know, you have to do something to connect it to the pipes. So the way this works is the hot will come in on the left. We'll have the cold come in on the right. And then the shower, up to the shower head, goes out the top, and down the bottom is where the tub spout comes out. So we can use, we use a fitting. We put a fitting on here that converts this thread into a PEX that we can just crimp the PEX on. And I'm going to show you that, how that works. And then on the bottom, where the tub spout comes out, so the tub spout will, come out like this somehow. I like to go copper. I like to have this rigid. And so this is set up so that you can put copper in here and solder it, and it works that way. So there'd be the copper will come out of here. There'll be an elbow. It'll come out the wall, and then this thing slides over the copper pipe. So we're going to have copper coming down the bottom. So I'm going to do a little soldering here, and then these are going to be PEX, PEX, PEX. And when I solder, there's a cartridge in here. So this cartridge here is plastic, and it has to be removed. Otherwise, when I solder, it's going to melt that cartridge. You can actually see there's the cartridge inside if you look inside that hole there. So that's going to have to come out before I do the soldering. Okay, so now I've got this mixer valve set up here, and I'm going to be soldering this section of copper to the bottom of it, and that's going to become the where the tub spout's going to get attached eventually. So you can see in the middle here, this is where that cartridge goes, and there's the cartridge right there. So you can see that that thing's all plastic and rubber, and so it has to be pulled out, otherwise when you solder it's going to melt. So the way these valves are set up, so again the hot's going to come in the left, cold's going to come in on the right side over here, and then this will go up to the shower spout up there, and then in here is where you do the adjusting. So these are set up so that you can see I've just pushed the copper into here. So they're set up so you can use either copper, or you can use like a fitting to put to attach PEX to it, and I'll show you that in a bit here. So I'm not going to give you a lesson in soldering here. There's a lot of things that are involved in doing this job of putting a new tub in, but I just kind of want to show you how it goes here, and not get into too much detail. But this is just basic soldering, where you clean your joints, and then you put some flux on. This is the flux over here, and the joints have to be clean, otherwise the solder is not going to work. And then here's my solder here, and here's my torch, and I'm just using a little propane torch, and this is my little plumbing bag of tools, and that's MAP gas, and MAP gas burns a little hotter than propane, and I like to use that. All right, so you need a few tools to do this. My philosophy on tools is, if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you can buy you some tools instead of paying people, then you have tools that you can do more work with, and just kind of build up your little supply of tools that way, and you set yourself up for doing more jobs in the future. Okay, so I'm going to fire up this torch here, and we're going to solder this little joint here. Actually, we have 3 joints we're going to solder. So I'll try and put this in a place where it's going to stay away from my camera, so I don't melt my camera. All right, so here we go. You can see how the solder just kind of sucks in there. I don't profess to be the world's best plumber. I am a carpenter, and but you know, I get it done. Sometimes it's not so pretty, but you know, we kind of take what we get here. Now, something that's kind of important here is you want to have where the thing's going to attach here, the spout, the tub spout. You want to have this, you know, straight up and down, so you know it lines up. Otherwise, you know, if this thing is off one way or the other, when you put your tap in, the you know, your tub spout will be crooked, and you probably have seen a tub spout that's not straight coming out of the wall, and it's because, you know, they didn't get this part right. All right, so I'm going to let this cool off, and then I'm going to do the PEX part of it. So, you know, now that we've got the heat done, now I can start putting the plastic parts and all the other stuff back together now, and it's not going to melt. Okay, so carrying on with preparing this valve here. So now you can see we've got that soldered. It's cooled off now. I've put the cartridge back in, so that's back in place now. Now these are the supply lines that I'm working on here. So on the left we got the hot, and right we got the cold. Again, I color code so I keep myself straight. Coming out the top, we're going to have this will be going up to the shower head. So here, you know, I showed you how we just stuck the pipe in there and soldered it. But here we're using the threaded parts. So to go from this to the PEX, we have to use a fitting like this. So this fitting just gets screwed onto here. And then once it's screwed on, the PEX just goes on. And we use these crimp rings to clamp the PEX to this little nipple that's sticking out of here. Now, this pink stuff that you see here, because this is threaded, we have to seal the thread somehow, otherwise it's going to leak. So this is just Teflon, and just a Teflon tape, just like this. It's just a ribbon that you put on to these threads, and you wrap it. You wrap it in a clockwise rotation, so that when you put your fitting on and tighten it, you're tightening everything up together. Now, the reason it's pink, our inspector here, our plumbing inspector here, requires us to use pink on high pressure lines. Anything that's pressurized has to have the pink Teflon. And you can see there here when he comes to look at it, you can see that there's the pink there. Now we also have, you know, white Teflon, and we also have yellow Teflon. So in our jurisdiction here, we're allowed to use white on anything that's non-pressurized. So you know, I could have used the white on up here on the shower because that's not pressurized. These are always pressurized. The supply lines are always pressurized. The yellow is for when you do gas lines. They like to see the yellow on the gas lines. So I have no clue really, you know, what the difference is here as far as, you know, the actual materials other than the color. So if anybody's watching this and knows the difference, you know, between the colors, and you know, if there's actually a difference between the you know, the different materials, let us know in the comments. You know what the difference is. Right, so now I have this all prepped up here. So this is going to go on the wall, and it's just going to sit in there like this. You know, the spout's going to come out the bottom, shower out the top, hot in on the left side, cold in on the right side. So it's just a matter now of, you know, getting it into the wall. So I'll start working on that, and I'll show you once I get that set up. Okay, folks, so now we've got these taps all installed here for this tub, and so you can see, you know, there's the copper pipe that I soldered in from the bottom, and that's coming out of the wall here now. It's a bit long. I'm not going to trim that until I figure out exactly what spout I'm going to have on here. But I've got the white pipe again is you know, going up to the shower head there. Now everything is on a center line here. You can see that black mark. That's what I've been following. That black line. That's going to center up with the overflow on the tub and eventually the drain. All right, so, you know, here again we've got the red on the left and the blue on the right. Hot and cold. Red for hot, blue for cold. And coming down, we've got this rough down in here now, and you can see where you know, I've got down below the floor joists there. This old gray pipe was the old supply. That is going to be coming out. That little chunk of blue pipe was just stubbed on there to shut it off while I was working. That's all coming out of there. Only this stuff that's new here will be remaining, the new PEX. So what's happening here is from this space here, we're over now to this place here where I have cut the hole in the floor. And so those pipes are coming from over there now. The hot and cold are coming from over there. There you can see the rough in the back of the wall, what it looks like. Okay, up to the shower head up there. So now those pipes are coming over, and here they are here. So this is the cold and this is the hot. And so these are just, you know, stubbed over here. And when I run the new hot and cold 3/4 inch line, that's when these will get a T, and they're gonna get teed into that. This here is the old line, which is all coming out, hot and cold. What they did there was they put some red spray paint on it. So if you're in your home and you're trying to figure out which is hot and which is cold, you know, they may have done something like this similar. That's kind of a code. You can see where they've spray painted red for hot and left the cold unmarked. I do it this way with the red and blue pipes. So this is the end of the run. So, you know, these pipes that you see underneath there go all the way back to the back of the home, you know, back to the that other bathroom that we were working on there before, and the laundry area, and then to that hot water tank. So this is the end of the run. Now I still have these. Okay, these are the old hot and cold to that sink that's over there in the corner. You can see it's stubbed up through the floor. So I'm going to be pulling new hot and cold pipes, PEX, up to that location up there. I'll put a little light on the subject here. Okay, so you can kind of see how that goes underneath there. This is right from the factory, the way that was done. So these old gray pipes will be coming out, and new red and blue PEX will be going over to that location over there in the corner. Now also, as I mentioned, I have to go, you know, from this location around the corner here to get to that hose bib that I have outside on the other side of that closet. So that's just going to be, you know, an easy connection off the end. So you can see again what it looks like underneath here. You know, it's this one's pretty clean actually. You know, we've had a few rodents in here. We had some mice in here, and there was rats in here, I know. There you can see there's a rat turd right there. But you know, it's not bad. It's pretty clean. Well, when rats did get in here, they weren't in here for very long, so you know they didn't do any damage. Luckily, the people got on it right away, you know, and got rid of them. So this, when I replace those main water lines, get rid of that old poly B, that old gray pipe, this is how I'm going to be doing it. Is I'm going to be cutting holes in the floor like this to give me access from the top. And you may have been wondering, how is he going to do this from the top? But it's just going to be, it's really easy. Just going to, you know, just cut a series of holes through the floor like this. And that's way easier than crawling underneath and, you know, cutting through that the belly wrap, and then digging through the insulation and trying to find this stuff. You know, it's pretty straightforward how they run these pipes. You know, this line now, it, you know, just runs straight right back, you know, all the way back. It's pretty much a straight line. There'll be a T there for the kitchen, you know, pick up that kitchen sink over there. Other than that, it just goes right back and hooks up to that laundry room in the back there. But that'll be another video. I'll get into that, you know, replacing those main lines. I'm sort of getting ahead of myself a little bit here, but you can see how I have to, you know, kind of think ahead again here. This is always a thinking ahead thing. So now that I have the supply all roughed in and the taps there, the next thing that I have to do is the drain. And you can see here, when you buy a tub, you know, this is the overflow hole here. We're looking at it from the inside out. And then underneath, you know, here's the hole for the drain. So you have to put this all together yourself. You know, this is how it comes, and then you have to, you know, you're on your own from here. So what we have to do is, you know, again, you go down to Home Depot or a place like that and you buy yourself a drain kit for a tub. And so this is the one that I have. And it's just this little collection of parts that come in that bag. You know, so this is your, you know, this is your overflow trim, and then this is actually the drain right here, and then this is all the piping here to connect it together. So it's a bit of a little bit of a puzzle, but again, it's just it's not that hard. You know, you just kind of have to think about it. You know, they give you some pieces here that because of that tub being a soaker tub, this is meant to connect these things together, but it's not going to work. So I'm gonna have to cut my own piece. So, you know, you get into stuff that's not really standard, not standard being, you know, a deeper tub, you know, then you kind of have to you know, modify things to make them fit. So I'm going to start working on that now. I'll put that together, and then I'll show you what's up with that. For me, putting the drain it's the hardest thing to do. You know, you're working with that ABS cement, and it sets up quick, and you know, then I have to make that connection to the, you know, underneath the floor there. I'll just take you back here again. So all of those pipes that I just showed you there have to get connected back up to this old pipe right here, you know, which is the old P-trap, and so that's going to get connected to here, and then you know, the drain water goes out there. And I'm going to try and do it all from the top. Again, you know, if I have to go underneath, that's going to be really hard with that heat duct and stuff there. But yeah, that's the toughest part. And just to show you how tough it can be, when I opened up the floor here, there was this whole collection of drain pipes underneath, just laying on top of the insulation there. So obviously the guys at the factory, when they put it together, they had a little bit of a time too, and just discarded all of this, and kind of, it looks like they had to start over again. I actually had a friend of mine that had a mobile home, and with 2 bathrooms in it, and so she was getting it ready for sale, and so she hired a handyman to come in and install a tub for her. It was in a bathroom that she wasn't using, so, you know, once the bathroom was all done, she just, you know, left it all prim and proper and clean and just used the other bathroom. Well, she sold the house, and the first couple nights, after the first couple nights, the new people moved in and went to have a bath in the new tub, and pulled the plug, and they had a flood in the bathroom. What had happened, the handyman didn't connect the drain. So obviously he was having a hard time, and he just left it and took off. And so they had to get a plumber in and get that all fixed. And the lady that sold the house, she paid the bill. So everybody was happy. But you know, that's just kind of how, little beware, you know, when you hire a handyman, that's how things can go sometimes. And you know, just to sort of show you, you know, between this pile of stuff and the ones I've done before and that little anecdote there, I can just tell you sort of how difficult the drain part can be. All right, so I'm going to get this together, and then I'll kind of show you where we're at with that. Okay, so here we go. We've got this drain together now, and so you can just see on the inside here where that's where the overflow plate will attach, and there's the drain. And so when that drain was it's screwed to that bottom part, so there's I put some silicone underneath that flange there to seal it. And so the way this works is we've got, so the water drains out of the bottom of the tub into this pipe here, then it goes into this T, and then this is going to hook into the trap down here, and then this is the overflow pipe, and the vent. All right, so now we got to see, I'm going to get the tub in there and see how it's going to connect to that down in there. Well, I got lucky on that drain. This is one of the easiest ones that I've ever done. So it's kind of hard to see in here. Having this toilet here kind of made it a bit interesting, but it pretty much lined right up with that, with the old P-trap in there. I'll try and get the camera in here to show you. So there you can see the connection. I had to use that 1.5-inch coupler. So previously I said that the drain on the tub was going to be a 2-inch. I was wrong about that. This is all 1.5 inches. So the new tub, you know, fits right into the old piping. You don't have to do any reducing or adapting or anything. It just goes right together, no problem. The shower is a 2-inch though, and as you saw, that washer box, that's a 2-inch as well. So this is ready to cover now. It's getting late in the day here. I'm just going to leave this, and I'll test that drain in the morning. Make sure that it's holding water. But you know, this is the back side of this rough-in. One more time before I close it up. Okay, up to the shower head up there. The shower head is screwed to that block there from the other side. And so there you can see how we've screwed that shower head there. Now there'll be the pipe, you know, the arm coming out of that. All right, and then this is our completed tap. All right, now I've screwed the tub in. I've just used some 2-inch drywall screws here. And this is just basically to you know, to hold it in place until we get everything finished here. As I showed you before, there, you know, this along that back edge, it's sitting on that ledger board that I put in there. Some people don't do that. You know, they figure that, you know, it could just sit on the floor. You know, the floor has unevenness, and to try and shim it underneath to get everything even, it's really hard to do that. So, you know, I find that putting that ledger board on there is the way to go, so that it can, you know, just keeps that back edge secured and level. Okay, and we've got another drywall screw there. So, you know, once the tile backer goes in here, the tile backer is all, we use a thin set mortar to, you know, to set the tile backer, all of the joints and everything of the tile backer. Now then you get your tile on top of that. You know, that flange is going to get buried in cementatious product, which is, you know, thin set. It's not going to move anymore. And also, you know, along the front, I've got these little blocks on the floor here just temporarily, just to keep it from scooting out there. Again, you know, once we put the tile backer on, the tile comes down the side here, you know, that flange is going to be completely covered. It'll be gone, and it'll be buried, you know, in the thin set. That tub won't be going anywhere. Now I mentioned, at the start of the video how, these openings are a little bit wide in these mobile homes. Like usually the rough opening for these tubs is 5 feet, and then you put in the flange would be up against the studs. In this case, it's not. You can see, like even with this, leaving the board on, you can see how we have a pretty generous crack there behind the flange. The back, we purposely set it out, and you can see there we have that 3/8 of an inch where we've shimmed it out in order for the tile to, sit on this ledge without hanging over. And here, we've got a pretty good gap. But again, by the time we put the 1/2 inch tile backer on, it'll come out to the front of the flange here, and then the tile will go over all of it and sit right down on the tub here. Excuse me, little drywall dust in here. Okay, so it's secured. The drain is connected. We've got the water roughed into it. We're just going to go ahead and cover it now. So it's a little bit risky to cover, before you test these joints. The way this works, there's a pretty big plate on there. I can still get in and excuse me, still get in and have a look at it, and if there is something wrong, I can open it up again. Excuse me. So next up is I'm going to put the tile backer on, and there's nothing really to that. That's just like putting on drywall. And once I get that all finished up, I'll kind of show you the done deal here. But yeah, it's that's about it, folks. Just get it closed up, and we're done. Okay, I'll see you when I get it closed up here. Okay, so you can see here how I'm applying the tile backer, and the tile backer is just getting applied over top of the old gypsum paneling underneath. So you can see I didn't take any of that off. You don't want to take that off because, as I mentioned before, if you take that off, it's going to be, your opening is going to be too big. Also here, this being an exterior wall, you've got vapor barrier and all that underneath there. So, if it's in good shape, you just don't want to disturb that. Okay, so that, I'll be taking that all the way up to the ceiling there. And then here you can see, where I made the cutouts to do my work in the gypsum panels. But, as long as the gypsum underneath is in good shape, if it's not moldy or it's not wet or anything like that, just go right over top of it. And here you can see, where I've screwed through the studs. Alright folks, so we've got this tub installed here, and I'm just going to show you how it's come together. So this is the back side of the of that plumbing wall. We've got the drywall on there now. Alright, and I've finished the tile backer installation here. If you're wondering what these little sticks are here, we've got glue underneath these panels, and there was no stud there, so I've just got that those little blocks on there to hold it while the glue sets up. And here you can see the shower head and the tap down here, and the tub spout, overflow, and the drain, and you can see this all lines up here. Now I decided to go with that tub spout that came with that tap set. It actually sticks into the tub there far enough. So this tile backer is a product called Den's Shield, and there's a lot of different ways that you can do things. I'm sure I'm going to get people saying, you know, well, you should have done this and you should have done that. Well, you know, there's no really right way to do things. There's just different ways to do things, or I would say better ways to do things. There's not better ways, there's just different ways. And you know, there's a lot of products out there on the market for, you know, doing different jobs. This product is it's a gypsum based. You know, it's actually recommended for floors. It's not recommended for commercial use. It's a residential only product. But you know, it has a lifetime warranty on it. You know, it has a gypsum core and it's wrapped in fiberglass. And you know, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've used a lot of products over the years. And you know, I've had good results with a lot of different things. So I like the Den Shield because it's, you know, the purpose of this channel is to help do-it-yourselfers to do jobs themselves. And you know, the Den Shield is a very easy product to work with. It's a good product. You know, we've had good success with it. We've had no problems with it. I've used it for several years on several projects, and you know, sure, if you want to, you can use cement board. That stuff is brutal to work with. I've done it. It's really not DIY friendly. You know, then there's the Schluter systems. You know, if you want to spend money on Schluter, knock yourself out. Just go ahead. You know, these projects are designed to be very cost effective. You know, do a good job, but do it as cost effectively as we can. So now the way this is going to finish up is, you know, along the flange here. Kind of explained this before, but you know, all of these areas along the flange here, this is going to get a fiberglass mesh tape put on top of it. Just, you know, so it's a 2-inch tape on all of the seams and down to this area here, and then it's going to get filled with a I use a premixed white thin set mortar, and that's just going to squish into all of these places here that you see, any of these little you know, cracks or whatever, and it's just going to make this all completely tight. And you know, that will happen before we put the tile on. I'm not going to show you that today. You know, the purpose here today was to kind of show you how to get a tub put in. This is as far as we're going to take this one for now. The tiling will be another video at another time down the road sometime. But you know, this kind of shows you what's involved here. So this was a big job. You know, this took me, you know, this is a day's work for me. By the time I did everything, you know, around here a plumber works for $100 an hour plus, so you know, it's several $100s of labor that I saved just in the plumbing. You know, that doesn't count the demolition that I did before, and you know, putting the tile backer on. So you know, this is something that if you can do yourself, there's some money to be saved here. So this is a big update for an old bathroom. It's, you know, bathrooms are a popular renovation. A lot of people, you know, will use a tub glaze. They'll put you know, get somebody to come in and do a tub glaze over an old bathtub. I have tried that. I've had professionals come in to do it. I just did one actually in the spring. Another one of these that had an old steel tub in it, and had the guy come in and do the glaze. It was not a cheap thing to do. It was $800. But just because of the time frame that we had, it was actually the condo that we did in the spring. The time frame we had was very tight, so we did that rather than taking out the tub. And also the logistics, you know, of doing a tub on the 4th floor of a condo building, you know, with the plumbing and everything, it gets quite involved. I wasn't happy with the reglaze. I wouldn't do it again, and you know, it was expensive. So you know, like I said at the beginning of the video, this tub was about $300. You know, the top sets, I can't remember, it's $150, something like that for all of that. And yeah, you know, there's maybe what is there, less than $100 in tile backer here. But you know, so this is, if you can do the work yourself, you know, this is a very cost-effective, huge bang for your buck kind of update. So when we finish this off, this is all going to get ceramic tile. And there's a little bit of a few little funny things that you can see here. You can see here we have this edge to deal with here. I'll show you what's going to happen with that in another video. I also mentioned to you that I don't like to use the fiberglass tape when I'm doing taping. I like to use the paper tape. In this situation, we are going to use the fiberglass tape just because of the water resistant properties of it. Okay folks, so turned out to be kind of a long video. I hope you enjoyed this. This was kind of the first one of my, getting a little bit more in depth into how I do these things. And so I really hope you enjoy it, and that you can pick something up out of it. All right, we'll see you on the next one.